Immigration waivers. This was something that I wanted to share with all of you to give you more information about basically what is an immigration waiver, when do you have to file one, what is the process, and what do you have to show. So there's many different kinds of immigration waivers. And by a waiver, I mean basically there are things that you might have to ask forgiveness for from immigration. Basically, immigration has a book of all of their laws called the Immigration and Nationality Act. And in that long book of laws, there is a long list of problems that a person might have in their immigration history or in their past that could impact their immigration application. And so basically, we know a lot of people on our YouTube channel and our Facebook group are concerned with whether or not they would need a waiver, or whether or not they're eligible, or whether or not they have a problem in their immigration past or in their history that could impact their case. And so what we do as immigration attorneys, when we meet with couples, when we meet with clients, we go through all of the things in their past that could possibly impact their application. And we look at that long list of problems that a person could have from the Immigration and Nationality Act and decide first, are you eligible, or do you have something in your immigration past or in your history that would need a waiver? There are some things in that long list of immigration that are things that can be forgiven, and then there's other things that aren't able to be forgiven. And so basically, when I'm talking about immigration waivers, I'm talking about the parts of immigration, the issues that a person could have that they can ask forgiveness from immigration by asking for a waiver. And so there's so many things on that list, but I'd like to highlight just a few of the common ones. A lot of people ask about, oh, if I had a tourist visa denied in the past, will I need a waiver? Is that a problem? And so when a waiver is needed, is if there was fraud or misrepresentation in your past. And that is basically a fancy way of saying, if at any time in the past, if you've ever lied to immigration or misrepresented something to immigration, then you would have to ask for a waiver for that. Also, staying in the country without documents is something else that sometimes needs a waiver. It's very fact specific. But some people, they need something called a provisional waiver to ask for forgiveness for that time in the US without documents. And again, like I said, it's very fact specific, but in general, that is what an immigration waiver is, asking forgiveness for something that happened in your past. And when you need one is when you have one of those issues in your immigration history that you need to ask forgiveness for. And so to determine whether or not you'd need one, you would definitely want to talk to an immigration attorney so they can go through your past and help you understand whether or not you're eligible. And if you are and you have one of those issues, whether or not you need a waiver. And the other thing I wanted to discuss with you is how you can apply for a waiver. So that's really going to depend on the type of waiver you need. There are different types of forms, there are different types of waivers, and so it will really depend on whether or not you had, if it was fraud or misrepresentation, or if you need a waiver for time in the US without documents. So how you apply, and it will really just depend on what type of violation you have. And then a lot of people ask, well, what do I have to show to be forgiven? Do I just have to show that I'm a good person, or what would immigration be looking for in a waiver? And so again, I know I keep saying it really depends, but it does. In general, one of the things that we have to prove a lot with our couples, if there's a person who has an immigration violation in their past, one of the main things that we have to prove to immigration is not only that the person deserves it, that they are a person who made a mistake in the past, but they don't have any other criminal history and they regret that mistake. And then we also have to show that their US citizen spouse or lawful permanent resident spouse would suffer if the person isn't able to receive their green card to be able to live together in the United States. And so that's just a very quick overview of waivers. It's a very complex area of immigration law, but most importantly, I just wanted all of you to know that if you're worried, if you think you have something in your immigration past that could cause a problem, definitely just talk with an immigration attorney. And one of the things, like I said, we would go over in detail your past, and we'd help you to understand whether or not you have an option to ask forgiveness from immigration. All right.